Next question here. And as always, no matter what, we are going to read the question sentence first. How many lamps are installed on that side? Huh? What do you mean that side? Well, let's go ahead and figure out what that side is. Okay, so let me just highlight that first. How many lamps are installed on that side? So a rectangle has a perimeter of 90 meters and a length of 35 meters. Lamps are installed every 2 meters along one short side, including both ends. Okay, let me go ahead and really, just show you this. We have our rectangle. Our rectangle has a perimeter of 90, so going all the way around one time, that's perimeter. And then everybody, can you remind me here real quick? They said that lamps are installed every 2 meters along how many sides? Tell me, how many sides? One side. And which side specifically, everybody? What adjective, what characteristic did we use to describe that side? Short. Yeah, the short side. Let me highlight this because this is the biggest part of this problem. It says one short side, including both of the ends. What does that look like? Right over here, if we just take the short side right here, this is what it looks like. We're going to install a lamp every 2 meters. So count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, however many it is. I don't know yet. I'm going to figure it out. But also, we're going to have them at the end right here and at the end right there. We just have to make sure that they're on the ends. So I'm going to keep that here in view. And then we're going to put this right over here because this is going to come in handy once we actually get the calculation done. Everyone, when we read what we have the perimeter of 90 right here, and then we have the length of 35. Everybody, do we know if the 35 is the long side or the short side yet? Do we know absolutely yet? Or do we have to do a little bit of calculation to figure out which side is actually the short side? Yeah, we got to actually confirm real quick. Unless you know with some mental math and you can do it, you can figure out what the short side is. But let's put this together here. We have our perimeter equals double the length plus double the width. When we calculate this, we'll plug in the values that we have. So that'll be 90 meters, and then the length was 35, so 2 times 35. Then we have 2W. If we wanted to do this quickly, we could actually just go ahead and divide everything by 2, because we can eliminate the 2 here and here, and then just cut this in half. And that's what I'm going to elect to do. It's going to be a little easier. So when I do that, divide it all by 2, cancels. 90 divided by 2 is 45. And 45 is 35 plus W. When I subtract 35 from both sides, we'll get the same as we would have gotten with the regular method, and that would have been 10. So we have 10 meters equals the width. Everybody, that's the short side. Remember, we had 35 meters for the length. Our width is 10. So we have the short side. The short side is 10 meters. However, that's not the answer. That is not the answer. Let me go ahead and show you what the actual answer is. Let me show you that rectangle one more time. Here's that rectangle. Let's go ahead and say right over here that this is 10 meters. Everybody pay attention here. Pay attention. Follow along. We have a lamp right here at 2 meters, at 4, at 6, at 8, and then 2 more meters makes the edge, and that's 10. How many lamps is that, everybody? How many lamps is that so far? That's 5 so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We forgot one more, including both ends. We already have one end over here. We forgot this one here. So it's not going to be 5 lamps. It's going to be 6. And that's why the correct answer is answer choice D. If you need to see your local psychiatrist for help getting over this problem, feel free to make a call. There we are. That's a good one. So I really hope that you enjoyed this problem too. Let me just, stop the joke for a moment. I really do hope that you appreciate these next level questions, because remember, It's not just about throwing the formula at the wall and hoping for the best. It's about understanding how the formula fits in to the greater context, to the greater story that your problem is. That's what it's all about, everybody. All right, here's our next question, and let's get this done the right way. So everybody, first thing is, if there are 35 raisins, how many peanuts are there? Okay, cool. So that's what we know we want. We want how many peanuts, and we also know that there are 35 raisins with this. So this is the first thing we want to do, is write down that we're looking for blank peanuts. And this is being compared with 35 raisins. Now, whether you write raisins first and then peanuts second, doesn't matter. It's up to you. Doesn't matter at all. So for the sake of this problem, I'll just say that I'm looking for blank peanuts, and then I'll write the raisins second. Now, watch how this is going to affect the solution process. Check this out. In a trail mix, the ratio of peanuts to raisins is 2:7. Okay, so I'm going to write this down here, and I'm going to highlight this in blue. Ratio of peanuts to raisins is 2:7. So I will say that means, since the first word and number are peanuts and 2, that means that we have 2 peanuts compared with 7 raisins. Again, it's all about the way you read a ratio, and you read them in the order that they are read. Peanuts first, raisins second. Peanuts is 2, raisins is 7. So when we check this out here, we can just fill in an X for peanuts, and we can compare it any which way we want. Again, everybody, as long as it's the same way. So I'm going to write down a couple of different ways to look at this ratio or this proportion, and you tell me, is this how you did it? So look, the first way we could do this is compare peanuts to raisins, peanuts to raisins. So we could write X over 35 equals 2/7. That is one way to do it. Again, comparing peanuts to raisins, peanuts to raisins. That works. Another way that we can get this written out, so this is method number 1. Another way to write this down, I can write this over here. We can just go ahead and compare like so. We can do peanuts over peanuts, raisins over raisins. These both work. X over 2 equals 35/7. And again, I'm going to write this, I'm going to highlight this in green for that right there. But look, we can write 2 different proportions, and let me show you how we can still get the same correct answer. My party people, help me out. What is 35 multiplied by 2? What's that going to give us here? Yeah, 35 times 2, that's going to give us 70. And then when we divide both sides by 7 to get that X by itself, check it out. Check this out. What is 70 divided by 7? That's going to be 10, right? So there we go. We have X equals 10, but let me go ahead and prove it. Let me show you the other way. Here we have X times 7, 7X. 2 times 35, 70. And then divide both sides by 7 and look at the same conclusion to the same story. X equals 10. So there we are, everybody. The correct answer here is D. But what I really hope you got from this, more than anything, I really hope that you got that as long as you have the right setup, which means as long as you compare the same things in the same way, your setup will work. That's the biggest thing, everybody. As long as you compare the same things in the same way, you're good. Peanuts to raisins was this setup over here. Got the right answer. You can compare peanuts to peanuts and raisins to raisins on the right side. That still works. As long as you compare the same things in the same way.